Return, O Lord, deliver my soul. O save me for thy mercy's sake. Psalms chapter 6 verse 4. In this verse, David's plea for divine intervention reaches its peak. He calls upon the Lord to return and deliver his soul. After expressing the depth of his emotional and physical turmoil in the previous verse, David turns to God in a desperate cry for mercy and salvation. This verse reflects the profound sense of dependence David has on God, acknowledging that his deliverance is not something he can achieve on his own, but must come from the grace and mercy of the Lord. Return, O Lord. David begins his plea by asking the Lord to return. This cry suggests a perceived distance between God and David, as if God's presence has withdrawn, leaving David in a state of vulnerability and distress. The word return expresses not only a desire for God's physical presence, but also a longing for the restoration of the fellowship and closeness that David once enjoyed with him. This plea is both a request for God to act and an expression of David's longing for divine closeness, indicating that the sense of separation is a source of great emotional pain. It serves as a reminder that in times of suffering, we too may feel a sense of God's absence, prompting us to cry out for his return and intervention. Deliver my soul. David now directly asks God to deliver his soul, which reveals the depth of his inner distress. The term soul here signifies not just the emotional or spiritual part of David, but the very core of his being. It is the soul that is deeply troubled, seeking relief from the torment it is enduring. David's plea is not for mere physical healing, but for deliverance that encompasses the whole of his being, his body, mind, and soul. This highlights the all-encompassing nature of David's suffering and his recognition that only God can fully redeem and restore him. O save me for thy mercy's sake. David's appeal to God's mercy is the cornerstone of this verse. He does not appeal to his own righteousness, strength, or deservingness, but asks God to save him for thy mercy's sake. David acknowledges that his only hope lies in God's mercy, gracious, undeserved, and abundant. This appeal to mercy underscores the belief that God's compassion, not human effort, is what leads to salvation and deliverance. David's recognition of God's mercy speaks to the understanding that even in the face of intense suffering, God's mercy is the ultimate source of rescue and restoration. Conclusion. This verse reveals David's complete reliance on God's mercy for his deliverance. In this moment of deep distress, he longs for God to return, to deliver his soul, and to save him. The verse teaches us the importance of turning to God in times of trouble, recognizing that we are dependent on his mercy for salvation. Like David, we can cry out to God in our anguish, trusting that he is the source of our hope, and that his mercy is always available to rescue and restore us, even when we are at our lowest.